Hello and welcome to another fantastic episode of RGDS, your retro gaming discussion show. It's your host, Paul Driscoll here, aka the Drisk, and joining me is the man himself. Yes, it's Gordon King, aka Kingy. How are you, buddy?
Hello, mate. I'm well, thank you. It's been a little while, hasn't it?
It has. But yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed the episodes with you and Almac. I just figured, the new squeeze, the younger model, Oh no, he's not a younger model, is it? I'm still the baby.
He's ages with myself, yeah.
I just look older than I should do, shouldn't it?
That's that paper round you had, mate.
But really good. I love the colour coverage and that. That was a great episode.
That was good fun to do, yeah. I'm still a visit over to his house. I've been meaning to do it for ages, and just time is just not allowed for me to nip over and just play real hard with him and his gaming pod. Just an evening with some beers or whatnot. I can get the train from here if I want a few beers and just get a station near his house. So it is feasible. Otherwise, it's a city bypass drive that honestly see on Saturdays or at rush hour traffic times. It's just so that's the real reason I haven't visited, because I can't be arsed with chock-a-block traffic.
You're washing your hair.
Yeah, I'm washing my hair. No, I'll get across to his house at some point. So always good that way.
It's nice you can at least fellow lovers of retro and that.
I know, because tend to live quite far apart from each other. You're in Birmingham, I'm way up in Fife. It's only when we meet at Arcade Club or some other rare occasion that we can meet up. So it's obviously make the most of that when we do, but when you've got friends on your doorstep, it's good in that sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so to our listeners, we've thought we'd do a nice, fun arcade collection, but we thought we'd put a little bit of focus on this episode by using the library of arcade archives, which is, for those who don't know, I mean, obviously, you can still play them through MAME. You don't have to play it through Arcade Archives, but it's they're basically annoyingly, majority of them are only on PS4 and PS5 and Switch, but never the Xbox or PC, which is frustrating. But essentially what they are quite pricey. They're about £6 a game, but they do really good emulation. And they have lots of little extra things, like there's a high score mode, a caravan mode on which is an awesome fun way of playing it. But I do like the fact that it does all the options. You can do the CRT modes and things like that. And yes, I know you can do all of that with MAME and things, and believe me, we do. But it is nice being able to bung it on your Switch or what have you. And I for games that I really have a lot of time for, I like, every now and again I'll splurge on one, just so it's you feel warm and fuzzy if you've paid for it, don't you? You get the official.
Maybe. No, well, there's a couple of points you made there, and more so for the Switch, and one of the reasons I think it works more for that than any of the other consoles are the vertical games.
Yeah.
At least on the Switch, you're able to flip it, the actual Switch screen tablet itself, flip it in that orientation, play these games where there be shoot 'em ups, or there's that many games. Some of them you forget they're vertical until you fire them up. So it is. You just, your memory doesn't serve you well when you forget games like even Donkey Kong is not a horizontal monitor, it's a rotated monitor. So there's umpteen things on that. So I think in terms of legitimately buying these collections, I think the Switch in some ways is a good home for it.
Yeah, no, I do agree. Although annoyingly, one of these games that we will be talking about, I was shocked because I've not seen it anywhere else. But and it just shows I hadn't really sat down and played it properly, even though I'd sort of picked it up. But the slowdown was insane on the Switch. I was really shocked. So I guess I'm quite, I mean, I guess one of the nice things is that we'll know that these games will move across to the Switch 2 at least when we decide to get that, because of
Yeah.
course that's looming. But
Well, at
yeah,
long last, because that sorry to interject here, Paul, but I think Nintendo were one of the worst companies for that, and that's why I always shied away from buying anything digital from them.
Yeah.
How many times did I buy something in a virtual store, bought it, and the next console came along, and it's like, well, that's it, you bought it for that system. You
need to
and
rebuy,
then, yeah, eventually the cloud service for that, when the system becomes unsupported at all for anything, then it's gone, and you've lost it in that collection. I just found that it's the nature of it. It's the nature of
I'm the
digital.
same way, and that's why it really annoys me that Arcade Archive. I mean, apart from the Neo Geo ones, which one of the games we will mention it does do, is from the Neo Geo world, or two of them actually.
Yeah.
They are on the Xbox. You can buy it on the Xbox One or XS.
Yeah.
But the rest are only on Switch and Sony, and it just fries my brain because it's not like it's difficult to put it on as many systems or even PC. You'd think it's just leaving money on the table. It seems.
Do you think there's some strange licensing agreement that they've entered an agreement with, say, Sony and maybe Nintendo, and they don't want it? I don't know. I'm just.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I can't think. I mean, I know Limited Run. The reason they say that they don't do Xbox is because for physical releases, there's a limit,
Right.
on there's like a minimum run that you can do, and it's just not. The risk is too great. They'd have to make too many.
Okay.
But it doesn't make any sense for digital, which Arcade Archives. Apart from occasionally you get like the Taito collection and stuff like that.
Right.
Where really it's like Arcade Archives running it under the hood, from what I understand.
Okay.
But yeah, no, but the thing I am excited for, and it does show like a change of focus, because on the 5th of June, I'm so excited, Ridge Racer Arcade Archives 2, which is like I guess their latest round of games they're going to do, I presume being more powerful. The first game that they're releasing, and it is on the Xbox as well as your Sony and your Switch 2, only Switch 2.
Yeah, but I can't get it on bloody PC.
I know, but Ridge Racer, I'm so excited. I'm so
I know.
excited. And, that kind of sparked us with this. But yeah, I mean, to have, because you never get it quite right in main. Main pretty much there. And I know the latest version's got a lot better with the driving games, but yeah it's just not quite there.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel we're being really spoiled with retro stuff at the moment. I mean, what about this for a lineup? Yeah. So, did you see Capcom Fighting Collection 2 has come out now?
Yes, but I'm probably less excited about that than other people because it's not necessarily my genre, but it's quite beefy.
It is. Well, I mean, I get where you're coming from, because I'm not really, as like you, as big into like fighters. But some of my favourite fighters, which are really expensive to buy, are on it, because I love Project Justice, which is a hugely expensive game on the Dreamcast, which is Rival Schools 2, if people don't know. But it's sort of like a great Capcom beat 'em up, and you got like Plasma Sword, and then including the one that when we did the Dreamcast episode with when me and G did the Dreamcast episode, and we talked about one of our favourite 2D fighters being Millennium 2001, Street Fighter SNK, and that's on this collection as well. So awesome stuff. And also, did you see that the Toplin Collection Volume 1 and 2 is what is on PC currently? Yeah. But in August is coming to all the consoles, and again Xbox and Switch and stuff. And for those to our listeners, if you don't know, I mean, the Toplin shooters, this has like Flying Shark, Tiger Heli, Twin Cobra, Batsugan, and some of the best. Truxton 1 and 2. I mean, I think it was only the other day where where G was saying how that it's a shame you can't legitimately buy Truxton 2 outside of the the Sega Mini that I bought, the arcade.
Yeah.
Finally you'll be able to get that, and yeah, it's a great collection.
Yeah.
It's a great collection. And the final thing I just wanted to, there's final two things actually I want to say before we go into some of the things. But sorry listeners, but there's so many cool stuff at the moment. Did you see? I dropped a note, Kingy, that there's a home PC remaster port of San Francisco Rush 2049.
Yes, I started reading into that and how to get that
do
working.
you want to describe it to our listeners? You probably read a bit more than me.
I better read it again then.
Because I read it and I thought, I look forward to. I'll let Kingy do the hard work and say, "Can I have a copy?"
Yeah, so I mean, we'll put the link of information. It's on the Time Extension website, and there's obviously a developer engineer doing a whole unofficial fan project, is the best way to describe it, getting this working on the PC. So, in a nutshell, you still need to own the assets, the ROMs or whatever, but probably most people will have that on them.
Yeah.
But he's done all the hard work, and I think it is just a case of, from what I'm reading, I'm going to delve in deeper, and I could probably give a better update either on our Discord channel and start discussing it anyway, is how to actually get it working. But obviously if you have the files, the CHD, which is a hard disk image of it, and most people have downloaded the CHD ROMs on things like MAME and that anyway. You put it in this, and obviously it does all the upscaling and the calibration of the control. So I can only assume it's like straight out the box. Once you do all this, it'll be an Xbox One or whatever controller compatible. I'm really excited about that as well, because it's a brilliant game, and to see it preserved like this. Well, not preserved because you still have to bring the ROMs, but you know what I mean. But to see it configured in a way to get working on PC, and that's incredibly exciting. I just love. That's one of my most favourite things that has always sold it to me on PC gaming more than anything else, are these kind of preservation or restoration projects where once it's out of the public mind and nobody really much cares about intellectual property per se, as long as people are not profiteering from it, that there's a whole fan base out there willing to do anything to games, you know what I mean? Games that you loved, whether it be FPS shooters from the 90s or racers or whatever. Let's get working on Windows 11. Let's get better texture packs, and dedicated people with real skills showing their talents because they had a love for the game originally, to try and deliver it in a way that makes you see it again in the same eyes as you saw it back in the past. Because you've played the past version now, you go, ooh, that's a bit ugly, you know what I mean? But to rejuvenate it in that way is fantastic.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I love when we see things like this, and long may it continue, because
yes.
Yeah, awesome. And the final thing I wanted to say in terms of news, did you see, again, this is another one for Xbox, and only if you got Game Pass. But did you see that they've released as part, free included with Game Pass, Xbox Retro Classics?
Yep.
And so basically what they've done is they've teamed up with Antstream basically it's using the Antstream engine. So I guess the downside is that it's streaming again, but it's good. They're basically, because obviously now Microsoft own all the Activision games and Sierra games, they've basically put pretty much all the Activision games and some of the Sierra games like Mech Warrior 1 and 2 and
Mech games getting to see with that shite.
Star Quest, bizarrely only 2 and 6. I don't know why they've not done the others, but they did say that there'll be even more. I think there's 60 at launch. But
only
60, yeah. But yeah, no, I just thought that's quite cool. It's a nice little addition. I must admit, I'm probably, I'll dip in. I mean, I do own pretty much a lot of these games on GOG.
That's fair enough, but you probably got them on GOG.
Yeah.
after things. I think, though, that Game Pass is certainly diversified with the purchase of all these things, and gives it's really given a one-stop shop for quite a varied gaming experience now. You can't deny no matter what you think of Xbox, Microsoft, or whatever, as a service and what you get for your subscription fee, right?
Yeah.
You really can't slate it, because hands down, as a service, it kicks everybody in the arse, really.
It is good, although I will say, I mean, even though I have the Xbox, I have given up paying for Game Pass just purely because it's that you're just never using it. You know, when they did the price rise, I just couldn't really justify it. I'd rather spend like a couple of quid on some games in the sale and enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same. I still buy a good graphics card on the hope that I'm going to enjoy some AAA game. That I just have to be honest with myself and go, that time has passed for me, right? I'm not, apart from the odd one or two, I put them on and I go, nah, it's 100 hours or it's just generic crap. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of people not enjoying the new Doom game. Not that I'm going to try it, but you know, it's like I'd just rather play a really good, involving indie game that appeals to my sentiments of how games used to be. That's just what our show's about here, and you know, a happier time and types of games that I prefer to play.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I get much more enjoyment out of indie games, and just even like games that go back to a happier time. Like I love the boomer shooters. You know, you're saying with.
I know you do like them. I know that's a big thing for you, and I understand that. There was a time I did play them.
Yeah, just simple, fun, straight in. Yeah, that is the ideal. But yeah, I do. Yeah, gone are my days of these 100-hour games where you've got to learn all the ropes and things. It's like I keep wanting to try that Star Citizen because they get, you know, the one with the wing commander. But it's like, I just looking at it, as amazing as it is, it's just like having to live another life.
That's the trouble. The modern life we're living in now.
Yeah.
There's that many other distractions as well in this age. I mean, and we're married, and there's a family, and there's, you know, there's all of that. And I don't know, as much as the thought of, if you told 20-year-old something myself, this game has 100 hours of gameplay time, is take my money. You know, I'd be so much like that back then. But I just can't. I don't have that kind of staying power.
No.
The last one for me was Witcher 3, and I suppose
that's a lot of hours. I bet you put that.
I did. I completed that, and I suppose both the Switch Zelda games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So Tears of the Kingdom has now become the only Zelda game I've walked away from. I mean, that's not like me, is it?
No, not at all. No. Yeah, it's weird. It's just. I do like the idea. Like I was looking through while I was waiting for you to join, and I was like looking. I always look at the Xbox sale, and I thought, like, you know, Cyberpunk, which is obviously done by the same team as Witcher 3. Oh, that's down to like 20 quid. I'll buy that. And then I realised at some point I must have bought it and I never played it.
Jeez, Paul. I know, we've all got that first world problem situation going on.
Yeah. So I think I need to sort of like sit down and I was looking at the same thing actually, just as a side, because obviously I tried to play these games, even though we could go to MAME and things, but I tried to play the games that I owned at least on the actual arcade archives on the Switch, so the real deal, and I set the camera up so it's like looking at the TV screen, just so people get a sense of what it really looks like for arcade archives if they're going to pay. And see the options, etc.
You're not naked playing it because we don't want to see your naked reflection in TV screen, mate.
Oh, that was an extra bonus for people. See?
That's for the Patreons.
But yeah, no, but I was like looking through at all these games because this is how bad it is. You talk about first world problems because I hadn't switched on the Switch for ages. But I do regularly, like, you know what it's like. You're looking at a sale and you buy a game, but you do it through your phone.
Yes.
So when I came on, so first of all, I lost, I don't know, probably about half an hour because it was doing all these like essential updates that had to do all these reboots. And then I had to wait another half hour because there was like probably about 20 games that I'd bought but not switched on my Switch yet. And it was like I had to install them all. And I'm thinking, I've got a problem. I need to play what I have.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You know, I wish there was a site I can go on that's related to retro gaming. It just buys me time. That's what I want now. The older I get, the more I realise that time is the most precious commodity. So when you're inconvenienced by something, it's not the actual inconvenience that is the bollock, it is the time of that thing. You know, just say, I'm thinking a silly example. Somebody comes along and punches your tyre in your car, some shit in the street. It's not even the cost of getting a replacement tyre. It's the bollock of having to deal with all of that. And I'm finding that more and more as I get older. It's like time's a commodity. I'm turning a miserable old sod, aren't I? You know, I'm monetizing time in a
What do you
way.
mean turning into?
Well, you've got a point there. You've got a point.
No, you're right. It's true. It is. It does get difficult, doesn't it, with time? But shall we
That's
go
why.
in? Talk,
Just before we go on, and that's why, just as a little advert, that's why time, and we make time that when we go to Arcade Club is incredible, and obviously we're meeting up again this year, aren't we? And I have to remember, is it the 10th, 11th of October?
I can't remember. I've booked it. I've booked the hotel.
Let me check. I'm looking at my calendar because the numbers. Yeah. So this year, if any of our lovely listeners want to meet us with all the Discord crew, and there's so many coming this year. Even Mictor, the legend that is Mictor, is coming all the way from Northern Ireland. He's carving out his canoe just now, and he's going to start sailing across soon. He's going to go in a competition against Pete, who cycles up from Wales, right? So Pete will come that direction, and Mictor will
get there
canoe across and see who gets there first. Yeah. So this year we're meeting up. Obviously, the pre-meet and the evening at Arcade Club is on the Friday, the 10th of October, and the big day, the Saturday, the full day on the Saturday, which is the 11th. And some of these lucky buggers that get a later train, not speaking to anyone in particular, goes for a little third session.
And it's amazing because on the Sunday I just beat everybody's scores when there's nobody to.
Of course you do. Nobody to witness it.
Nobody to witness. Yeah.
There must be like the old sort of tree falls in the wood kind of adage to use of that. If Drisky beats your high score, no one is there to visit it.
Exactly.
Did he really beat your high score? Yeah. So yes. So that's the 10th and 11th of October this year, and if anybody would like to join us on these adventures, you're more than welcome. Again, it's always fantastic, it's always friendly. Come a stranger, you leave with friends. Not really leave with friends, that sounds weird, but leave as friends. get in my duffel bag, I've cut you up.
Depends how much you drink, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, very much so. So anyway, so yeah.
No, that's awesome. No, I really, I always look forward to that. It's just so nice, and particularly this year because it's been the last time I went to Arcade Club was I know because people loved it so much that people did like a mini meetup in February, but I wasn't able to make that.
Yeah,
and so I'm like you. The last time was like last October, so I'm itching to get back to.
Yeah, makes it special, Paul, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, although I can see me wavering in. Sometime in the summer, I don't know. I might try to go out there because it does look fantastic. They've really expanded it, isn't it? With the bar and they've moved the pinballs to like a bar area on the ground floor now.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Can't wait.
So kind of
can't wait. Seriously, can't wait.
Yeah. Right, so shall we go into the games themselves?
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we basically look through the arcade archive collection just so it is a really good curated list that they've done, but at least it saves us from looking at like a million MAME ROMs and things. Plus, because I know not everybody loves emulation, it is something that chances are somebody has a Switch or a PS4 or PS5. If you want to buy the real deal, you can. So all these games we're going to mention are accessible. which is great. And what we did, wasn't it, is I've chosen 3 games, you've chosen 3 games, and then we'll probably just wax lyrical a little bit about Ridge Racer at the end, even though we won't have played it yet.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah. So we'll go on to the first game, and it's my choice, the first game, and I've chosen Circus Charlie, released in 1984 by Konami Industry, and we love Konami, and this is great. I mean, I've always loved this game, and always make a beeline for it, and essentially you play Charlie. Hello, Charlie.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah. And
you calling Charlie a clown?
Well, I did introduce him to this game recently when we went to Retro Realm, because they had on a multi-cart, multi-cab that they had there. They had Circus Charlie, and he'd never played it before. And of course, Charlie being Charlie, got absolutely addicted to this game, and I left him on it all day.
Such is his nature, yeah.
Such is his nature. But this is really good. As I say, you play Charlie, and you are basically going for an audition. It's quite harsh, really. You're going for an audition to become like a clown for the circus, and to do the audition, you have to do 6 daredevil experiences, and then get the babe at the end, and then it loops round to the 6. So you got the first one, which is you're riding on the back of a lion, you're jumping through fiery hoops, and you're grabbing money bags and things like that. The second one is like you're jumping over monkeys, walking on tight ropes. Then you're bouncing on trampolines, and there's fire breathers and sword jugglers at you, and then you're jumping on a like a horse, and jumping on huge beach balls, isn't it? That's the next one, and you're jumping from ball to ball to make your way across. Then you're riding on a pony, bouncing on sort of like trampolines, and daredevil stunts as you make your way through to the end. And then finally, and it's the real bugger, this one, is the trapeze, where
it's not Jungle King, is it?
It's not Jungle King, and you're swinging from rope to rope, and it's a tough one, that one. But yeah, I adore this one. But before I talk about it even more, I mean, what's your memories with this one, and what's your thoughts of this one?
I don't think it ever came to my own local arcades that I recall. So this is one of these kind of Blackpool ones, or maybe even travelling fun fairs. Can't remember where I saw it first in the arcades. I think for 84, it is slightly dated graphically. And this is not an insult. I love the graphics. I just mean it feels like it should have really been out, a little bit earlier, just the way the style, the graphics and the gameplay is in some ways. But this is an absolute bona fide classic, this one, Paul. It's an excellent choice. I'm glad you brought this one up. Each of the 6 mini games, the levels, are an absolute gem to play. That's what makes it fun, because you can lose life so easily until you get used to the mechanic and what's expected of you and how to play the level. And so if you think of the lion one to start off, what's going on with the lion? There's a whole Brokeback Mountain thing going on with the clown and the lion, right? Why is the bottom half of the lion being shaved and it's butt naked, right? It's just a bit... I know
it's OnlyFans, yeah.
I know. I mean, I know they're just trying to represent the more shorter fur in the mane, but it looks like a shaved sheep, right? That he's riding on the naked part is a yeehaw, And
you have a dark mind. I never saw that.
No, that's the trouble. Now you can't
unsee it. Yeah, exactly.
It's like that joke about rodeo sex. You heard that, the sexual position of rodeo sex?
No.
Well,
know.
Yeah, this is not family friendly, everyone. But so with your partner, you're doing it doggy style, okay? And you moan another person's name, and she's like, "Get off me, you bastard! Get off me!" And see how long you can stay on for, right? Right. So anyway, right. I'm ruining the show already. Sorry, it's been a while, Paul. Sorry. So the way the hoops move, you realise it's not a linear game where you completely go forwards. You can run backwards, and you have to do that to time the flaming clay pots below. You have to like move back so the synchronization, they're not just over above each other. So there's a good challenge on that, and that kind of thing repeats throughout all of the levels. It's all about timing and a bit more patience. You can't whiz along the levels. You play it like that, you'll die and you'll lose life. You'll lose credits, you'll lose money, whatever. It's just brilliant. But when you do quality jumps on the game, you get rewarded with higher points, which is really good, isn't it? Yeah. So you can jump over 3 monkeys, you get something like 2,000 points and whatnot. But it's patience. And you know every time you make a mistake, and I know it's a common thing to say, when you make a mistake and you die, if you want to call it die, you know it's your fault. You blame it on yourself because you were too hasty in your response and you thought you could make it, but you knew the minute you pressed that jump button, you just could not. So I love the variety. It's a great 6-level mini game that is absolute pure fun to play, and I can imagine this as being a compo game and a game of the weekend in arcade club, because it's not there, is it? It's not an arcade club.
No, it's not an arcade club.
Yeah.
I mean, the first place I discovered it was. Do you remember in the early days you used to get those dodgy from the market like collections of NES games? Mm-hmm. You know, it used to be something made in China.
Yeah, I know the ones you mean.
Yeah, and it was the early days when you didn't have that much emulation or you did, but it wasn't like as easy to do as it was now.
Yeah.
And so I'd picked one up, and that was the first time I ever discovered Circus Charlie. Was
Hi, Charlie.
The NES port. Hi, Charlie. And it was it's a really good port on the Famicom and the
yes,
NES.
it is. Yeah.
And so I got addicted to that, and then of course discovered it on MAME years later, or a couple of years later, and then always made a beeline for it ever since. But one of the things I particularly love with it, have you ever do you know some of the secrets of the game?
I know none of the secrets, since
I am
an idiot when it comes to that, so do explain.
Yeah. So on the first level, so the Fiery Hoops, if you jump 3 times before you go through the first hoop, you'll see like there's an empty skin of a clown that comes across, and you get you get an extra life.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, if you on the first hoop, if you jump through the hoop and then back through the hoop, so it's a bit more difficult to pull that off. You also get an extra life. And there's a few other things like if you jump but only straight up on the monkeys but make your way to the end, that will give you an extra life as well. So there's little ways that, it reminds me a bit of that's one of the reasons I love Pac-Land so much, is all those little hidden things. It's got similar idea with that.
But it's how you discover these prior to the internet. I know in Pac-Land I did discover since you mentioned it there, the baseball cap pushing against the hydrant, but it was more by accident of trying to escape a ghost that it started moving.
And
you know what I mean?
Saw it. Yeah, well, I think that's how I discovered it, and I think also I was trying. I think when I did discover the jump through the hoop and back through the hoop, and I think I was trying to maximise score. Mm-hmm. And then realised you get an extra life and thought, that's cool. But the trouble is it's quite difficult to pull it off, and I always muck it up. So I end up losing lives trying to get that life.
Because it exists, so you're driven to actually do it now. You can't play it and not attempt at. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
And also, and I'm never quite sure what causes it to happen, but there is a hidden level, as you sort of like cycle through, where you, instead of with the trampolines, but instead of like fiery breathers and stuff like that, it's actually dolphins jumping. So they've made the bottom like into like water, and then there's dolphins jumping like across the trampolines.
Oh,
so
superb.
So it's kind of cool. So yeah, I've always loved this one. I think it's fantastic. I still think for me this is the best game based on the Circus. I just think it captures, with the music and everything, because all the music is
the music's good. The graphics are lovely. As I said, it's dated, but not in a bad way. I love games from this period, and the more I play them when these type of things are in arcade club, the more I actually spend more of the weekend on these rather than ones that I gravitated towards as a kid. I wanted guns and violence when I was a kid, and kicking people in the face. And I tend not to play these now. I like the quirky, challenging games that give a unique experience.
Yeah, and that's why I always pick this up with for that very reason, just because it's simple, addictive fun, and also I forgot to mention actually if you do a perfect run, so that means you collect all the bags of like gold, because there's like bags dotted around the level, and you don't die at the end of it, you get extra bonus points with where you get like an eagle flying and he drops loads of more money.
Yeah.
So if you're going for score junkie stuff, this is really good. Oh, that's the other one as well. Like on the tightrope at the second level, if you don't jump onto the platform but you walk across, I think that gives you extra money as well, like 5 extra bags of money. So it's one of those games, and but my God, when you look, because obviously with Arcade Archives, as we sort of mentioned, top end of the show, it's kind of cool because you get both versions of it. Which, to be honest, the original version is just simply you can't choose which level you want to play; you have to play them in order.
Yeah.
And then you have 5 attempts. That's the original version. The second, the new version, as it's called, is the one that most people will have played, where you can actually choose
level select.
Level select. So that's kind of cool. But of course, it also has like a carnival mode. No pun intended. Where it's how much score you can get in 5 minutes, and you see like the scoreboard at the side, so you can see exactly where, or in my case, how badly I'm doing compared to all these people based in Japan that seem to like live and breathe this game. And then because there's like all the Japanese names are usually at the top of this game, and then the other one that they do is like the high score mode. But of course, the nice thing with the high score mode and the others is you can compare on the leaderboards to friends rather than just like the global leaderboard, because obviously people are insanely good at these games. You're probably not going to get anywhere near the top. But
we walk amongst gods, mate, when it comes to that kind of thing.
It's absolutely insane. But so did you? So you were saying that you hadn't really you just stumbled across the arcade one. You never played any of the home ports or anything like that?
No, I've never. I know the NES one's very respected. I've never went back to it, and I'm glad you chose it because I've neglected it in that way. I've considered it. I considered it nice. It's great fun, and why the hell have I not played it more often than this? And it was the first game. It was your first choice, so I just decided to do games in the kind of order that they came up. You actually chose your free before I chose my free, so I played your ones first. And I had a blast, an absolute real blast, and I played this with a smile because it appealed to my sentiments completely. It was just what I needed, was just some kind of cheeky, doesn't take itself serious game where it's got a variety of challenges, and it was perfect for an opening game for this for me. And you know what? I'm gonna go fire up the NES version now and
it's a great
compare
version.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're all the this did see a port on the Commodore 64, but it was a very early one, and it looks really ugly. But
That'll
it
be
plays
fun.
all right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does play all right, but it does look really ugly. I mean,
The thing is, the Commodore, I would say, looking at that game, would be very suited for it in the hands of the
but
coders.
for whatever, maybe it's bad coders, but it's like everything's brown, and it's really weird why they struggled. But the MSX version's actually not bad.
I've heard good things. Yeah, I've heard good things about that. That's good.
You did later on in part of the Konami arcade collection on the DS. The SG-1000 is basically the same as the MSX, I would say.
Yeah.
It looks pretty similar.
Awesome.
And then it did appear Japanese only, but on the PlayStation as well, the Konami 80s collection. But as I say, I mean, the Arcade Archives is, it runs it perfectly, and with the leaderboards and things. It's eventually I took the plunge, because I'm usually, because it is just that little bit too high, £6.40 or whatever they charge for you. But so I try to wait till it comes in the sale, and I've recently bought, because they had Packland and Gap Plus. Eventually was £4.40, so not much, only £2 saving, but I normally do that. But Circus Charlie, I eventually just pulled the pin and went for it. Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Good.
but good. I'm glad you like this one. So
No, brilliant one.
yeah. So we're going to go to your first choice, or
Yeah.
I've got them written here. So I'm going to pass it over to you. This is the Jackal, or Jackal. Do you want to describe it to our listeners?
Certainly. So this is one of my most favourite arcade games, would you believe? It just goes back, and I think it's just tied in with memories. It was a game because it's a 2-player game. I played with my brother often when we went down to the arcades together, so it's kind of tied in with your childhood. And so when all the top-down shooters were the rage with the rotary stick, think of Carry Warriors, think Guerrilla Wars and games like that, Jackal was one of these games, but far more rarer to see with the rotary stick, because it was normally just chucked in a jammer cab with a hack where you can just shoot in multiple directions with your machine gun anyway. So that was the one I was exposed to. I have yet to see in the wild a rotary version. Right? I would love to see that and play it, and because I'm so used to playing it with the mod hack that it just felt like second nature. So in the mod hack, the trouble is, yes, you're I'm jumping the gun here. Sorry, folks. I'm not even describing the game. I'm telling problems in the game. Let me wind back a bit. Ow, 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 ow. Right? So anyway, what is this game? Obviously, it's the top-down kind of scrolling vertical shooting game where you just progress through all the levels. So you can play 1 or 2 players where you control jeeps rather than a Rambo-esque character as normally in most of these kind of games. So a good vehicular shooting game. And the idea of the game is to invade the enemy camps, thwart off all the bad guys, the tanks, the other jeeps, the helicopters, dodge their missiles striking on you, and blow up the huts. Now, many of the huts contain POWs, so you have to stop outside those huts and they all start, piling into your car. That takes a lot of people, that bloody jeep.
I know, it's like a clown car, isn't it?
Exactly. And then you have to survive not getting blown up, or they'll all run away, and you have to, when your next car comes, quickly collect them again if you do lose them. But you have to get to the rescue points where rescue helicopter lands in the helicopter. How convenient that. You imagine that. Imagine, say, it's very kind of, I suppose it's Vietnam War influence to a certain degree this game, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how convenient that, you know, that your allies' helicopter can always land on a helipad in enemy territory. You know, you have to land where you can bloody well can. Not just, get to the helipad, we can see it, we'll land there. And then all your POWs they've rescued all run off, get in a helicopter, and you get a bonus, and then you move on. And that's predominantly the game, right?
Yeah,
so
sort
what
of
was
overhead Desert Strike, but
not
but in a
Desert Strike
Jeep.
because in a Jeep, yeah.
And also Kingy loves it as opposed to, for some reason, he hates Desert Strike.
I just don't like the misuse of isometric graphics in games. That's the trouble with Desert Strike. See, if Desert Strike was top down, I'd be happy. I was so used to isometric being in Night Lore and Fairlight and Head Over Heels when they used it for different games. I was like, no, get away. So yeah, the point I was making about the mod and the hack, Paul, was that you can only shoot forwards with the machine gun, your main bullets, right? So you had to move about, and it was doable. The game, I just thought that was the mechanic of the game. But the direction you're facing with the missiles, you can shoot them, and that's how the mod hack worked. But from what I gather, and only what I've ever read up, and the version that you can, where you get the version on the arcade archives with different configurations, or the MAME, which I'm more familiar with, is that you can get the unmodded version and you have rotation controls, which is a different ball game altogether. So I'd be very intrigued. I would love to see that in that format. I just never have. But
I've never, and for this particular one, I haven't picked it up on Archive, so I don't know. But I presume it would be the modded hack, because obviously, how else would you do it? On the console,
shoulder pads on a.
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah,
could, but it's not as.
Yeah.
As it doesn't work in the same way. It's not. It really needs that tactile response of twisting your wrist on that, hexagonal joystick that all these games had that we all know from Ikari Warriors and such like that. It was
It's a great game, isn't it? It's really enjoyable. Because it's that slightly more zoomed out view, and I love the fact that you're trying to you always get enemies flying in as you're trying to rescue, so you've got to quickly drive away, and then sort of get all the people in the helicopters. It's quite cool. I have a lot of time for this, and I was wondering whether you chose it because I seem to remember, didn't the Spectrum have quite a good home port?
No. Absolutely ghastly. I have never played, even whether it be the NES, whether it be the Commodore 64. This is the trouble with this game, is the only real decent experience of it is the game itself.
Yeah.
I was excited. It was coming out. I was like, yes. Now, firstly, what really makes this game is the theme tune. The music is brilliant. I love it. It's in my top 5 of all-time favourite arcade game tunes, personally, for me. Right, love it. And obviously we weren't going to get that in the Spectrum because it came out, it was just a 48K version anyway. I have never, it's up there with how diabolical I thought Pac-Land was on the Spectrum as well. It's up there with, I bought this and I wish I never, and I was disappointed. I was angry and annoyed. I felt robbed and ripped off. One of my favourite arcade games wasn't even remotely close to the arcade version. It's shocking.
Oh no, I'm surprised. I never really really played this one much. Up until, obviously the arcade, but I really enjoyed playing through this one when you shouted out. It's a lot of fun.
It's better than 2-player, but it does have its frustration of a chain is always as strong as its weakest link, and as someone's trapped behind a POW building and you're up ahead, the scrolling is restricted, and somebody's trapped. It's a great idea for a 2-player game, and it should be, but the maps and layouts are more designed for single player, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I've never played it on 2-player. The other thing we should note is in America, this is called Top Gunner. So you may have seen it like on your main list, or perhaps if you went to America, you might know it as that name. But everywhere else, certainly in Europe, it was known as Jackal, wasn't it? I know all the. But yeah, no, this is a good one. It again shows, this is another Konami game, and 86. I mean, Konami just is one of those companies which, I mean, they're obviously beautifully known for like their home ports, but people often forget how many absolute classics they did in the arcade. Your Track and Field, and these games, and so
revolutionary
many other ones.
Games,
really
Paul.
Revolutionary, yeah.
Yeah.
But like if you tell people, say some of the best arcade producers, there's usually goes behind some of the others like Capcom and things like that in people's minds, isn't it? And
imagine that we're speaking about, I mean, Contra series, for example.
Yeah.
The Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games.
Yeah.
Twin B.
Yeah.
Gyrus.
Oh no! I mean, when you realise, when you break it down, you realise how many classics
It's
you do.
ridiculous.
But it's just, yeah. But yeah, no, really, really good. I'm glad you mentioned this one. It's
cool.
One that I definitely want to spend a bit more time with. Yeah, absolutely adored it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Right, okay. Shall we go on to the third game? So we're
That's what
back
you
to
got
my
for us.
second choice. And I've gone for, I love this game. It's called Overtop, and it came out in 1996, and it was made by ADK. And this is one of the ones that was on the Neo Geo. I've often done like a playthrough. I discovered it through playing through the Neo Geo lists, as you do.
Yeah.
Because there's, the vast majority of the Neo Geo games are just absolutely top quality. I don't know how.
Indeed. Yeah.
They just got such an amazing library of arcade titles. And this is one of my favourite sort of like of the isometric overhead. I don't know quite how to describe it. It's sort of like overhead, isn't it?
Yeah.
But slightly slanted racing game. So much like many of the others, like World Rally and 1000 Milia and all of those ones. But I really adore this one. It's one of my favourites because there's a nice range of cars, including a motorbike that you can choose. And they really make you sort of treat the tracks differently. Like if you're in a Ferrari or the Lamborghini knockoffs, I mean, none of them are licensed cars, but they're obviously like Ferrari and Lamborghini. And you'll be great on the first parts of the track where it's like roads, but as soon as you get to the snow, you're going to have a tough time. Whether if you're in one of the Jeeps or the lorries, the reverse is true. And the other thing I like with it is, rather than, it's a bit like Outrun in the way that rather than do completely separate tracks, it has like this long continuous track that you're racing around. There's loads of variety to it, and it's sort of broken up by when you go in the tunnel. That's how it switches between the tracks. But it's I love the variety, the fact that you're straight in. So 1 minute you're in like like the town, then you're in like a sort of like it's rainy weather. There's jumps, there's desert, there's snow, all these different weather effects going on. And you do eventually do like a big loop that takes you way the back. And that, to be honest, is all the tracks that you have. But it feels a lot. And what's great as well, a lot of there's loads of little shortcuts and different ways of tackling the track. So there's a lot of replayability because you know, particularly if you play it on the more difficult settings or you loop it a couple of times, you'll see when the AI gets better, they'll sometimes introduce you to a new way through that you didn't realise before, or sometimes you just discover it by accident. And they're not always shortcuts. I mean, sometimes, you know, like you go in the sea and you can get in the sea, as Kingy was saying, but and you think, oh, great, I found another shortcut. And then you realise, no, it took you twice as long, but it's an interesting way. And you still made your way through. Yeah, I've always loved this one ever since I discovered it. And, you know, I think it was definitely on one of the ones that made my top 100 arcade racing, you know, when I did that video.
That's a great, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that sort of shouted out here, but it was lovely sort of like covering it again here. I mean, I'm interested to know what you think of this one and whether it was new to you particularly.
Yeah, the first time me hearing it was watching your YouTube video, okay? Now, obviously I'm familiar with 1,000 Miles Rally, Neo Drift Out, games like that, so they're fantastic, visually stunning and very fast racers, right? And I adore them. And once you play them enough, you do get to grips with it because the reactions you need to skid round those corners is incredible. But it does work well because you have a scanner at the top left. You can see the bends where they're coming, and obviously you get the kind of co-pilot warning, if you want to call it that, where you get the arrow going double left bend or whatnot.
Yeah.
This is up there. I think now, from all the games of this style, this is my favourite.
Yeah, I'm the same way. That's why, you know, out of all the ones that I could have chosen for the top 100, it was this one that I just keep going back to because it just, I don't know, it's just the graphics look great, don't they? And the variety, and you say it just, you know, once you get used to the controls, you could be like skidding around like a boss. It just seems to, you feel in a lot more control than you do with some of the ones like World.
My eyes do water playing it because it is intensely fast, but the game is designed once you get to the grips with it and I think you have to know the tracks a bit as well.
You do have to learn it,
yeah, as part of that. But what I find really amusing about it, you've got these fantasy race vehicles, okay, high end, you know, Lamborghini or Ferrari like vehicles, okay, and you choose them, and it's fine. It sets you into a false sense of security, as you said. You're driving about town, and you know you're cruising. It's like, look at me, I'm the man. I'm freaking great on cars, and then all of a sudden you're off road, and it's like, you're going to wreck this £100,000 vehicle or whatever, in, you know, muddy backwater bloody areas, and it's brilliant. Lovely nice touches, like when you go in the tunnels where the main beam comes on in the headlights, and there's it's focal point where the beam, you know, it's like a disc of light. It's a small subtlety. It's just small stuff. The shadow under the car gives good sense of elevation when you do leap off ramps and bumps and jumps, and it's like almost around the world in 30 seconds at the speed of the game. All the different terrains, the snow, the desert, you know, all the cliched tropes of video gaming is all within there, condensed like it's Campbell's soup of video gaming in racing form, and it's fantastic. Visually incredible, very fluid to play, great sound effects and that. Yeah, this is a marvellous choice, an absolute marvellous choice. Well done, you.
Oh no, I'm glad you enjoy it. And the beauty is because the ACA ones, you know, this is like the arcade archive ACA. For some reason, these are also, I believe, on PC and on Xbox as well.
Okay.
So that's a good one to note. Yeah, but yeah, I love playing this one. It's one that I always go back to. It's just, and it is perfect for something on the Switch. I mean, I bought it on the Switch because it's just nice. Like if you do travel with the Switch, it's one of those games you can just go straight in. You know, you don't have to worry too much and just have a quick play on.
Yeah, for you and I that do love our racing games, as much as you want the Sega Blue Sky Racers will always, lament the demise of. This is up there with the same kind of delivery of enjoyment, just for its pure arcade nature. And, well, if you die and you muck up and you have to go back to the start, it doesn't really matter. It's not about the progression in this game for me. It's just the sheer enjoyment of driving batshit crazy around corners.
Yeah, it is. And, I mean, ADK, I love the ones that they did. They always did sort of like slightly off the normal path. I mean, they did, the World Heroes 1 and 2, which are actually fighting game. But they did Twinkle Star Sprites and Ninja Commando. That's another fun overhead shooter. And Magician Lord and, those sort of ones. They did the Neo Geo ones in particular where they're just that little bit lesser known, but they're still classics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now,
Awesome.
the thing is, though, with this one and comparing it to its peers of similar aesthetic design, right? This one, I think, really stands out beyond all of them, not just for the variety, but just the graphical expertise in its graphical design team. And one of my most favourite bits is a bit later on, if you persevere with the game, and you're in a kind of San Francisco area, and it's got a Golden Gate-esque bridge with all suspension wires and that. Stuff like that. You'd think cramming all that in would cause slowdown in a game, but it doesn't. It just looks so amazing with all the birds flying about in the area and all the suspension wires as you're going across the bridge. And I mean, going across bridges is part of kind of racing games, isn't it? Anyway, you know what I mean? It's part of the thrill. It's, I suppose, it epitomises the freedom of driving in that way, and the Great Escape. There's no boundaries. You're stretching over areas where 100 years ago you probably couldn't. But the engineering prowess of mankind is all there, and to me, and I know it's getting a bit highbrow that way, but this game more represents the freedom of driving and the liberty driving gives, condensed better than many other games I've ever done.
Yeah, I agree with this one. Yeah, no, it's one that, a lot of people, it pass them by, understandably so, but it is awesome. And it's one that, as I say, Retro Realm has they've got like a Neo Geo sort of like multi-cart that you can choose, on the arcade. And I always make a beeline to this one. It's great playing it on, real hardware. So it's kind of cool. So
excellent choice, mate. A really excellent choice, and I urge any of our listeners to give this one a go. This is, I think I'm going to give this early on the game of the episode for me.
Nice. Well, let's see with the other ones. I'll have to have a think, which is my favourite of your ones. It's quite cool. Right, okay, but let's go on to your choice. This is another fun one, and it is by Jackal, and it is Butasan, released in 1987.
Oh, I wrote down Bukake. Did you not read that right?
I always know it's Psycho Pigs.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, right. So yeah, Jackal released this in 1987, and it is known in other areas as Mr. Pig and Pig and Bombers as its arcade different names. But yeah, when it was bought by US Gold for the 8-bit computers, it was known as Psycho Pigs UXB, Unexploded Bomb, you know. So yeah, so this is a weird arena battle game of survival. So each wave, each level is a whole host of pigs that come in, all different characters, and you get introduced to their character traits. I've always wondered if the characteristics described in the intro screen, you know, the character was of that intent in that way, you know what I mean? Probably not, it's just some random AI shitty pig running about chucking bombs. So scattered equally on the screen as different bombs of different countdown timers. So the minute you pick them up, they start countdown. So if one's at 10, it goes 10, 9, 8, blah, 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 or it could be 25. And that's how long you can carry it for. So the idea is to run about with bombs, dodge bombs being thrown at you, and throw bombs at your enemies to wipe them out and be the last man standing.
The last piggy.
The last piggy standing, yes, the last piggy. Or there's no roast beef for you. So it is weird. You can duck and crouch to help save, you know, avoid flying bombs hitting you. But it is frantic, absolutely frantic and mayhem. There's power-ups you can pick up, like a gas mask, it kind of saves you, and there's ones you can pick up multiple bombs as well, so you can pick up 2 and chuck about you. You've always got to keep an eye on the timer, because it's going to explode, and if it is near other bombs, it creates a chain reaction, and it's just, it's frantic and mental. I just love the craziness, the great chaos,
graphics as well, and I love the dinosaur onesie. I want a real dinosaur onesie.
Yeah,
you
that
get to
can be arranged.
Like, protect. I think it's
listeners, you hear this here? I'm going to start a Kickstarter campaign next week. Buy Drisky a dinosaur onesie. It needs to happen.
Because I've got the piggy shape.
You said that, not me, mate.
But no,
so what's your memories or fondness of this game?
To be honest, not really any. I mean, I've played a little bit in, you know, like in Maine, sort of like, but never really played it properly. I've got a little bit of memories of, I think I discovered it one time on the Spectrum, but it didn't, you know, I found it was all right, but I wasn't that enamored with it. But I really, really enjoyed, because gave it a bit more time for the episode, you know, spent a little bit longer with it, and it does get really, really fun, doesn't it? I mean, it kind of, it's like a frantic well, Bomberman, but there's like no maze and you're just like bombs hurling. It's dodgeball, isn't it, really? You sort of like throw the bombs.
I suppose it is bomb dodgeball, yeah, absolutely.
And then of course you get like all the bonus levels where the piggies are coming out of either flowers or
it's
craters.
whack-a-mole just to get the different
whack-a-mole, just to get through. But it's just the characters and the different pigs, they're all so distinctive, and it all runs at a great pace. It's just a really unique, fun game. I really enjoyed with this one, and it's definitely gone on my wish list for Arcade Archives to perhaps pick up this one. Because I can just see it's one that, you just want to just dive into, isn't it? A little bit, yeah. Do you remember, just going back to the old, 8-bit advert for it back in the day, do you remember it in the magazines? It caused controversy and accused of sexism and all the rest. No, I don't remember.
Right, so there's a billboard poster, and there's 2 young kids looking up at the billboard poster, and there's a scantily clad woman lying there with cleavage showing. She's just in her underpants holding the actual Psycho Pigs UXB advert, and it says on the quote, "I know which one I'd rather play with." But the boy then says, his friend says to him, "Yes, but have you seen the reviews for Psycho Pigs UXB?" Well, okay, there were middling reviews for Psycho Pigs UXB. But no, I loved it, and that was my first introduction to it, was on the Spectrum, and I loved it. It's actually quite a faithful port. It really works well. It's got the theme tune.
I'm looking at it here, it looks quite good.
And I played it a hell of a lot. great in 2-player mode, great fun. And when eventually, I don't think I've seen this ever in the arcades anywhere. I've never had the experience of playing it, but obviously with the advent of MAME and such, then it was on my list to actually play a game that I just enjoyed. It's quirky, it's kooky, and I was wanting something different for this particular episode rather than easy. I mean, this is easy to go for, your comfortable slippers and arcade recommendations and arcade archives. You could easily have done that, but I wanted.
Oh, we definitely, because obviously, to our listeners, some of the big hitters like your Bubble and Rainbow Islands and things like that, you can.
And chances are you've probably bought them.
Certainly Bubble. I'm still waiting on the. I've not been. The trouble I always have with Rainbow Islands is it never has the licensed music.
Yeah.
And that really affects my memories of it.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Bubble I bought and is absolutely awesome. But now I'm just looking I do remember playing the Spectrum one, but I don't remember why I wasn't that plussed with it. I don't know. It looks fantastic.
Do you think now I think if you played it with mates, right, and you're the two of you, and you were always. I mean, the trouble is I played it that much that nobody wanted to play it with me because I just kicked arse playing it. I knew how the mechanics of the game. I knew how to survive and just be a devious bugger and hold the bomb to the very last minute and chuck it and duck, and then the chaos ensued. It's just great fun, very different. Don't think there's really much other games like this, and it stood out for me, and always enjoyed it thoroughly.
Oh no, definitely, really, really good. Yeah, I'm just trying to.
Was this the one you were on about Slowdown by any chance?
No, actually, because I don't own this on arcade.
Right, this does slow down no matter what you play it on, and
yeah.
I want to go to the arcade. I want to find the arcade version. Just when it gets busy, too much bombs exploding and that, and when you eliminate more enemies, it kind of speeds up a bit. I want to see if that's a quirk with emulation, and does the hardware the real? I suppose any of our friends with Misters would probably be able to, say if that's a thing or not. So we'll put that out to them if the game does have peaks and troughs with speed.
Yeah, no, I don't know with this one. It played okay on. It seemed all right on my MAME, not overly. It certainly didn't affect it. I know what you mean.
No, it doesn't affect it. It's a really enjoyable game.
Yeah. No, really, really good. But yeah, I love. It is a lot of fun. And I'm curious. I don't know how. Do you know how many you can actually play in the arcade with? Is it only
just two, if I remember, I know correctly.
Yeah, that's because
imagine that a four controller one. My God, that would be brilliant. That would be really good. Yeah, awesome. Right. Let's retro engineer that and make that happen.
But no, it's a really fun one, and I love. But the characterizations of all the pig and the animations, it's so cute, isn't it? It's that's definitely the highlight for me, I think. Brill. Yep. Right, so we go on to our penultimate game. We're already there. So this is back to my final choice of the evening, and I've chosen another SNK game. So this is another one that is the ACA Arcade Archives, and therefore I will also be on PC and Xbox, as well as your PS4, PS5, and Switch, and I guess Switch too. I have always loved this one as well. This is Shock Troopers, but I went for the second squad, which is number 2, basically. For those who have never played Shock Troopers or Shock Troopers 2, it's kind of like SNK's answer to Mercs, but it has more...
Metal Slug had a bastard child with Mercs.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it, basically. Yeah, you've got, your variety of characters, a lot more animation, making full use of like the Neo Geo hardware. You can play as Leon, Angel, Lulu, or Toy, and they all have different weapons and different speeds. So, depending on which one you choose, depends how you play. For spoilers alert, this was the one that did have a lot more slowdown on the Switch, just to warn people. I bet you it's fine on the Xbox and PS4 and PS5, but I was quite surprised. It's the only time of any arcade archive where I've struggled a bit with that. So that was disappointing.
Might work fine in the Switch 2 then.
I think it'll work. Yeah, but eventually I will get the Switch 2. But yeah, I'm not on day one for me. Are you getting the Switch 2 on day one, by the way?
No. I'll get it at some point when there's. That's one thing I was moaning about AAA games. I'm a sucker for Nintendo's AAA games. I mean, obviously I want the new Metroid Prime game. The minute they announce a Mario game, that's when I'm going to be lured in.
That's when you take the plunge, yeah.
I'm not worried about Mario Kart straight away. Mario Kart's always wonderful, but we've played that enough, haven't we? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to lose sleep because I'm not playing it on day one.
And as I was saying to Garen, I don't like, me with racing and open worlds, and I don't know whether their direction of open worlds is something I would particularly like. Yeah,
it remains to be seen.
So I'm a little bit wary of that. But anyway, back to the game. We
do this.
We do this. I mean, it's just great. It's got lots of varieties of the different stages, like interesting end of level bosses. You can get in big tanks and drive around. Just great graphics. I do like as well that each character has their own story arc as well, and their own little things. So there's that replayability, and you can go in the different vehicles. You can go in the boat, and there's bits where you're on on top of a train or what have you, isn't it? It keeps it interesting. Every level offers something new and different. I mean, was this one new to you at all, or?
I've only ever played the first one. Never played this one until now. So I was blown away. I mean, I love the first one. Yeah. It's just Neo Geo seems to come, right, and spoil the party. And I mean that in a good way, right? That you have every other arcade game, and then the Neo Geo boys come along and give everything absolute steroids, Paul, where it's like, holy shit, everything pales in comparison with the fanfare they seem to deliver throughout the entire game. It's so busy with small, subtle things, along with incredible looking big mechanical beasts, huge explosions. No wonder it slowed down on the Switch. I mean, that's a mental game with everything.
It does throw a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, it does throw a lot.
I mean, the animation frames and all the enemies, is when they roll on the screen or you kill them, and they don't just flash and die. There's a whole dying routine, and all the enemies, I'm dying. It's like get over it and die already. Why don't you? And then just before you think you've seen everything, then you get into the vehicles and drive them about, and it's got that Metal Slug type vibe with Mercs that really gives an absolute amazing experience. And you know what? I don't think it feels dated in that way.
No, if you saw this as an indie game, you would pick it up, wouldn't you?
You would go. They're playing homage to how arcade games used to be, which this is a game which it used to be, but people didn't all have access to Neo Geo stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you would look at this and went, this is a modern representation of an arcade game. No, it's not. It's a 90s representation of an arcade game that is incredible, and it was a good time. We all forgot, we were all moving away from the arcades at this point because, you know, whether our PlayStations were out or whatnot, right? We had our Amigas, and we were playing games with good fidelity. The arcades were full of games like this that just completely blew you away with visual overload. And it's not just the visual; it's the whole experience. The action in the game's intense. It's enjoyable. Yeah, we all remember that. We all would probably remember Metal Slug as being our first kind of Neo Geo experience. I think probably. But if you just dive deeper and go down that avenue of the releases
I love the Shock Trooper games. You know, but
Yeah.
I think they're like, you know, because people always mention like Mercs and things like that as their favourites, and for me this is the pinnacle of the you know, they're sort of like Akari Warrior style overhead shooter. I think
Imagine if we
Trooper
saw
1 and
this,
2.
Paul, in say 1986,
Yeah,
right? You know, when we were at the peak of going to arcades, and this game came out, then you would just go. There would everything would pale in comparison to it. It is. It's hard to describe until you play it, and also it's given me the vibe of how I felt when I was tapping into these games in the arcades in the 90s. You know, I was lucky enough that there was a good number of them coming to my local ones, and
you were
it was
so
good.
lucky. Yeah,
Yeah, it was good memories of that. Was the point, you know, a couple of drinks in the house, down to the arcades, and up to the pubs. So it kind of brings that more
that era
grown up
for you,
era of gaming that the kid in me was still there. like to have a beer or two, and also still wanted to go to the arcades and enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I would have loved with this one, and this is another one, of course, that's at Retro Realms on that multi-cart, because they've basically got like every Neo Geo game on there. So that's
I'm going down to Crash Live in November this year.
Yes, yeah.
And we'll meet you because I'm staying 2 days. Al and I are coming down. We're flying down, hiring a car. It's costing a lot of money, this retro business. And we shall meet yourself at Retro Realm if you're free.
Yeah, definitely. I would. I'm just. It's such a pain that I keep missing with some of these retro events. Like, I can't believe I was thinking of you actually. The Steve Turner was at that Zap.
I know.
64,
It might come to Crash this year, and I think the restraining order has expired now.
So you're all right.
I should be all right. Yes. Yeah.
What
I would love to have. I would love to have heard the talk between Andrew Braybook and him. That I find how they develop games extremely fascinating, and their passion's still there. I mean, it's great that we can get these, you know, veterans from the past and give talks to that. So I've never been at any of the Crash events. Yeah, I mean, it's similar to obviously like Revival was down that way, and it was just so far away. It's just too. It's normally quite costly, and when you're a family man, it's like
I know what you mean.
You're in the doghouse for bloody ages when you go and shit like that, you know.
No, I totally get it. It's, I mean, it's pretty much on my doorstep, and I still struggle to get away because there's usually like 1,000,001 things that we have to do on the weekend.
It's just life. So I'm glad they're going down. So it'll be good to meet you down that way, and
that'd be cool.
You can show me this, and I'll play it in the arcades. So it'll be
awesome.
Good.
Right, should we go on to the final game? Back to your choice.
What did I choose? All right.
You can't remember.
I even forgot.
You chose Shao-Lin's Road, aka Kicker, aka Ya Kung Fu.
Two.
Yeah.
That was only marketed in Europe as that.
It's not
It
really,
was.
it's just because the character looks a little bit like from
Yeah.
the I will always say yar.
That's the only reason I chose this, because I knew you'd say that. So. Brilliant. Yeah, so it came out in the arcades, and what, 85 it was, and I remember us coming into my local arcades, and you know, I was loving fighting games then, so where I was playing Kung Fu Master, where I was playing Double Dragon or Renegade or whatnot, or ER Kung Fu, as you were saying, I just loved the fluidity of this beat 'em up. Well, it's not a beat 'em up, it's a martial arts, flying about, floaty, kick shit out everyone that comes in your way.
Yeah.
So what is it? So it's a scrolling 3-tier game where, imagine like a game like Athena or something like that. There's 3 levels, or there's many other games like that as well. It's just the first game that came to my mind. And you have to eliminate all the bad guys, the enemies on the screen. So you can do the whole floaty jump between all the levels, and basically you can't use your fists. You've only got, I don't know what's wrong with his hands. Maybe he's not got hands, right? Maybe he's tied behind his back. I don't know, but he just kicks everyone with his feet. You can do flying kicks or kick them in the face, stuff like that. And they all jump about, and the idea is just to watch the body contact from them to you. You can pick up power-ups as well, you know, swing them around your head and that. And it's a kind of, you know, survival game where you're overloaded with people coming out all the doors on all the screens, and there's waves of them until the last person is there. And there's a countdown. You see the little heads on the screen that you know you're getting close to completion. And then you get a scene change. It goes to the pagodas, if you want to call them that, the temples, and you jump between the levels. Now, so the mechanics don't really change. You just get some sub-bosses coming that are tougher to fight. And, you know, you need to learn how to attack them. Just plain fighting with them, you're going to lose energy, and you get, you know, your life's will eventually deplete, and then it's game over. But I just loved the whole chaotic nature of the game. It was reminiscent of, and it's not like Kung Fu Master. It just remembered me of just so many waves of enemies coming at you.
Yeah, I would say like it's more Kung Fu Master than
Kung Fu.
Kung Fu, really.
Yeah, it's got the same kind of floaty leaps and that, but obviously we added power-ups with fireballs, as I said, and things to swing around and
stuff. And,
change, yeah.
I love the little touches as well, like on the pagodas. You say you can fall off, and he does that like with his waving.
Oh, the
his
ball!
arms
Whoa,
his head,
very cartoon-like, isn't it? Yeah.
And then when you finish the level, he does like shows his muscles and goes guts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, guts. I've got guts. Yeah. But I've always loved it. I had it on, yet again, it was in my local arcade. Really enjoyed it. I got a Spectrum version of it. Reasonably liked it. I played it a lot with my mates. Many of my mates quite enjoyed fighting games as well. They were all doing karate and that at the time. You know that age where you are about...
Yeah.
You know, so this is I'm trying to think, like 86 it came out in the Spectrum, so arcades, or 12, 13, we're all going to karate or judo or whatnot. We're watching Sakura Killers or, you know, other martial arts films, American Ninja and stuff like that at the time. So, you know, it's part of popular culture, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's the point.
Yeah. And it is fun and frantic. And I do remember, I'm pretty sure we covered this game on the Spectrum. We did like arcade ports, and I think you chose
me.
This one.
Well, I would not have chosen this.
I can't remember. We definitely covered it somewhere, but definitely not the arcade version. But I definitely
was it me?
Well, I wouldn't have chosen.
I think it was Andy Godoy. Come on.
It might have been. Maybe it was a long time ago. But it's a fun, frantic. Yeah, I mean it's one. You know, particularly if you love your beat 'em ups, it's a pure beat 'em up, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, it's got the same floatiness of, say, Legend of Cage.
Yeah.
And things like that. So if you like that whole Crouching Tiger kind of vibe, if you want, before we knew that was a thing, right? This would be the game for you. Tell me though, I always doubt it because I don't gravitate towards it. Is this an arcade club?
I've never seen it in Arcade Club or Retro Realm. No. This
Okay,
is
so we're renaming this episode Games That Don't Exist in Arcade Club.
But it is another Konami one, and we did inadvertently when we looked at that entire list. We've chosen a lot of Konami games. You notice?
It shows, yeah, love Konami. It's brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant. But no, this is a lot of fun. I mean, as I say, once you've seen. It is one of those, once you've seen like a few levels, you've seen it all, really, isn't it? I think there's only like 3 sort of areas, it feels like, that you're truly going through in the game, isn't it? You've sort of got like the indoor, and then you've got the outdoor on the sort of like those temples, and then there's like the rock face.
Rock face, that's right. There's not that much variety, and okay, you have a visual change, and the way some of the bad guys fight do change as well. Like there's whole weird flying, floaty things where they're coming like they think they're Superman towards you and whatnot. But I think the game, there's room for improvement on a bit more variety in the game. But the boss fights are good fun. I mean, I'm crap at them, right? I'm terrible at working out. I get stressed going, how am I going to beat this guy? I don't like getting stressed in games. I just like to have fun, please.
No, but it is. It's just the little touches, as you say, when he gets hit or a few of these things. It's got great characterization, and it all runs super smooth, doesn't it? I mean, it's
it's very slick.
When you think of the amount of enemies on the screen and things, really, really quite cool. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. This was
brilliant, mate. Good
fun. But I am racking my brains. Where we covered it on the episode with the Spectrum. I don't know, or did I dream the whole episode? That could be it.
See, I don't recall it in anyone's top 50. So
no, it wasn't a top 50 one.
And I never. We never. Actually, I quite like the idea of an episode of best Spectrum fighting games, but no, not my choice. To be honest, I've not thought about this game for many a year, and that's what I quite like about a particular episode like this. It makes me go out my comfort zone and go for things like this, and I had a ball sitting there the last couple of evenings playing this, and went, actually, this is stood the test of time.
No, I sort of agree with you.
You sort of agree with me. What part doesn't?
It does get a little bit same. Of your choices, it's probably the one that I like the least of your 3 choices.
I was going to choose Guerrilla War, but I know how you don't really like it. So
I mean, for me, I think it was great going back to, of your 3 choices. I think going back to Jackal was my favourite. It just plays so well. I really enjoyed that. Followed by Butasan, mostly because of the dinosaur onesie.
Right. Remember, but this is getting arranged, by the way.
And then the Shao-Lin. But all of them were good. It was just I guess for me with fighting games, it's all about what you see around the next corner. You know, the progression.
I'm with you. I get that.
But this isn't really about this. It's the same way I don't really enjoy Kung Fu Master that much for that very reason, because it's sort of like and I think a lot of it is like what you said about getting stressed. I get stressed when there's an onslaught of never-ending enemies. I know they aren't never-ending in this one, which is a little bit better, but it does stress me out.
Yeah, it feels relentless, doesn't it?
Yeah, it feels relentless. Yeah. So really good. So, what about you? Well, of my 3, how would you rank them?
Right. So, as I said, I think personally, Overtop is my favourite, just because I love a good racing game. And I'm torn between Circus Charlie and Shock Troopers too, because they're so diversely different. Right, I'm going to go for, because I played it with a smile, right? As Circus Charlie is my second. And that does not make Shock Troopers slight in any way, because it's just because I know what to expect from Neo Geo games.
Yes,
full of steroids and highly impressive, and probably, if you got to give it the credit as one of the most impressive gaming systems ever, whether you play it on the console with the Neo Geo or the arcade, equivalent. That, what a system! Why was that not an apart from cost, obviously?
Cost, I was going to say, no one can afford it. That's right. And the games as well. It wouldn't just pay for the system.
Right? Yeah. Because it was a surefire winner if the price was right. I mean, I didn't care. I mean, obviously 3D came in, and you had the Saturn, and then you had Sony with the PlayStation, and the world changed in what kind of games they want. But every time I go back to Neo Geo, I'm like, mother of God, this is a bloody incredible system.
Oh, it is. It's I always love them, and obviously they emulate so well. But it is one of the things where it was great in the past. Like, you get Amazon Prime Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
They went through a phase where they were giving the bought copies, not of arcade archives, but I think they're one of the many PC ports of the emulated arcade originals.
Yeah,
they were giving it free each month, whole stacks of them. So I made sure I picked those up. So it's nice, I've got that warm fuzzy. Even though I didn't pay for them, I got them. As well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I love the Neo Geo stuff, and I must admit that multi-cart in Retro Realm has really got me appreciating them all again, because it's usually when I go there, that's usually what I crank up. Because
I don't blame you.
Yeah, just so many so many awesome ones, and I do love naturally I love all of them, but probably for me Circus Charlie is one of my favourite.
Hi Charlie.
I would say it's probably up there in one of my certainly top 20 arcade games of all time.
Good.
It's just something I've always loved with Circus Charlie. Yeah,
excellent.
Awesome.
Great choices, mate. Great choices.
Brilliant. Well, there you go, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope, as always, you join in the fun and try some of these games yourself. We'd love to hear what you think, and I hope you'll also be excited, because I'm really intrigued. Now they're going on to Arcade Archives 2. What other games they've got waiting down the line? I mean, the fact that the first game in the Arcade Archives 2 is Ridge Racer has me incredibly excited. I mean, I've
lots of chatter in our Discord channel. Yes,
yeah. Having sort of like the high score and caravan mode options, as well as obviously the games. It's going to be, I mean, because to our listeners that perhaps don't do the arcade meetup that we do each year in Arcade Club, that's one of the traditions, isn't it? Every time is we always choose a handful of games, but one game that always is in the competition is to get that perfect time track of the first track of Ridge Racer. So this is gonna, I can see that happening all again to our listeners in the home. You're not going to be able to escape, because everybody's going to be picking this up. Yeah,
I think we need a dedicated channel on Discord just when the game comes out, just to get the scores. Yeah,
but it's got me really hoping that that they'll bring more racing games like this. I'd love to see, obviously, Outrun 2. Wouldn't you love to see that?
Oh, what?
Yeah. Did you see as well? Some of our listeners were flagging out that they're coming out with an Outrun movie. Did you see that?
I did. I missed that. What's that about?
I don't know a lot about it. I don't think there's much to know about it. But basically, like they've done like Rampage and things like that in the past. They're coming out with Outrun, the movie.
So really, we're going to see Cannibal Run a remake, really?
Yeah, I think it probably will be, wasn't it? Because that was the original inspiration.
Here's the thing. What is the best thing about Cannibal Run? The end credit outtakes.
Yes,
that is my opinion. Absolutely, yeah. and Burt Reynolds' muttly laugh every time they screw up.
Yes. And what was the sidekick? I loved him. He was brilliant.
Oh, what's his name?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And he always used to say, "Never fear, for I am here," isn't it? Yeah, fantastic. And also, didn't it have Daisy from Dukes of
Dukes of
Hazzard?
Hazzard.
Yeah.
Swing.
I think I need to watch it again. I think I've got
Oh,
them
really
on,
now?
I've got them on. Well, I've got the first two on Blu-ray. I don't think I've ever watched the terrible because they redid them years later, didn't they?
We don't mention those.
No, I don't think I've ever seen those, but yeah, the first two they're silly fun, isn't it? I enjoy those.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. But no, there's so many racing games I'd love to see. Your Wagan, Midnight Racing, and all of those, cruising, and some of the Raw Thrills would be nice. But I mean, what about you? What would you love to see? That because obviously they're clearly going for that later arcade.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, trying to pin down what I'd hoped for with whether the emulation engine is improved or whatnot. Power Drift for me, if you were speaking about racers, to be honest, you know what I would love, and it has slowed down. I want to say Soldier of Light or Zane Selena released right, but I need the slowdown fix. Obviously, that's not going to happen because that needs reprogrammed, recoded. Because the arcade version is hindered by that as well. So we're not going to get that. But there's so many excellent things. I mean, if you're thinking so imagine if you think 8 to 9, right? Well, I would love a good version of Zybots.
Yeah.
Vindicators, if we're on about Atari ones, you don't see, but Atari's not going to allow that. So I can just dream that, because Atari deal with their own thing, their own way. So you're not going to see any of that kind of nonsense there. God, you put me in the spot now, Paul.
Sorry with that.
No, it's good. It's good. I'm just rattling my head off of games from that period.
Yeah, there's just loads in that 3D period, which MAME doesn't do. I mean, to be honest, any of the Techno Parrot games, to buy those officially.
Oh yeah, that's your silly wish list with that one now. It's.
But I mean, it is intriguing because it's only Switch 2. It does tell you it's gonna. But some of the ones like Starblade and things like that, it'd be nice to have a decent version. So I'm quite excited to see what other games they'll come out with. The trouble is, you because you mentioned like a few of the Sega games, much as I would love Sega, they tend to always do their own thing. But there'd be the Sega Ages collection, which it always frustrates me that Sega don't do. I mean, I know they're starting to do reports of, they've come out with a new Shinobi, isn't it? It's coming out and things, but I don't know. And Crazy Taxi will be coming out at some point, but I don't really want. I mean, I don't. I like the idea of something new, but I want to play the original games as well. You know what I mean?
There's something off about modern things. I don't know what happens with them. They make them weird in some ways. I have no faith in modern adaptations in that way that the add elements that are not needed.
Yeah, I mean,
for whatever reason.
I was looking at because I saw the trailer for the new 2D Shinobi, and it is done by Way Forward, and it does look good. But to be honest, it just has all the mechanics you've seen a million times on most indie games. The bouncing off the walls and the fluid. It sort of has the fluidity. That's not a bad thing, but remember there was that recent Prince of Persia 2D game.
That done nothing for me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It got great reviews. It played well, but commercially it died a death. And I think I know Charlie actually, not Circus Charlie, but Charlie loves that game. The recent one. But for me, it just I don't know. It just looks like every indie game that's come out. Of that ilk.
See, when it comes to games like that, I just hark back towards I want sprites. I don't want pseudo 3D graphics. I don't want vector art. I want high quality really detailed pixels, because you can do that now, because you know the sky's the limit in terms of frame count and everything. You know, yeah, it's not a modern machine is not handling pixels like an old machine did, but it's the aesthetic, and I love pixelated things, and I want that. Give me a Prince of Persia. Okay, that was rotoscoped anyway, if you want, right? But maybe a bad example, but Shinobi or whatever. I want a good pixel artist making high detailed graphics in that way, and I'd play that more than that Ori. You know, the Ori games look that they all seem to have now. It's like, I'm tired of it. I am exhausted. It's like, I don't want to play that. It just looks the same.
It does look, I mean, they've done the hand-drawn style, so, you know, I don't know, have you seen the trailer?
I'm trying to look for it just now.
Shinobi Art of Vengeance.
Right, let me have a look at this. Yeah. Shinobi, as my mother said, my mate called it, Shinobi. Shinobi Art of Vengeance.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a...
And it does, I mean, I'm looking at it, it does look pretty cool, actually. Actually seeing the, I've actually brought up a much bigger trailer.
That looks utter wank for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I will never play that in my life. I have shot better. I hate vector art. Can't stand it. Nah.
Is it vector? It looks hand. I'm not very good at telling.
Well, hand-drawn vector. What I mean is right.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Right, it's got that aesthetic. I mean, you know, you get artists to say it's not that, but you know that look. Yeah. Like it looks like it's been drawn on Adobe Illustrator, which is a vector art program, and I can't stand it. It does nothing for me.
Yeah, I must admit, I do prefer pixel.
And that's just a personal choice. I'm not saying there's not a market for that, but I'm never going to play something like that. That does nothing, absolutely nothing for me. I love pixels. And pixels became out of necessity because of memory limitations and that. But that's where I'm ingrained in with gaming. And the minute there's a pixel art decent game out there, whether it be a Metroidvania one like that, I'm all for it. I'm sucked in, and I'm set in my ways. I'm an old man. That's what I like. It's like you listen to old music. You listen to. It's the same thing. The next generation can do their own thing.
I sort of agree, and that is the thing that I always find frustrating with, I find so frustrating with Sega is that I do want so many of their games, legitimate access to, and it's just mad that, I mean, they released a handful over the years on sort of like some of the consoles, but then, equally pull it, like you can't buy Afterburner Climax anymore, or since the 360 era, or you can't buy. I get Outrun because it's licensed, but it's just annoying. But the rumours isn't it, that they're doing a. Of course, it's going to be everything's bloody streaming these days, isn't it? But the rumour is they're going to do like a Netflix style. So it'll be yet another subscription service. But being such a Sega nut that I am, if it's got the right lineup of games and does it well enough, I might jump into.
I think I'm just going to give up with anything. I've got enough games now that I can play until the dead die.
I clearly do. Hence why when I switched on my Switch and it downloaded 20 games that apparently I bought that I've not even tried, and some of them I really want to play, but I just it's like I bought that Tiny Thor as well, because that's got Henk Nierburg did the graphics for that, so that was always on my radar, and I mean there's so many I look at my Switch collection, digital collection, and I'm like, everyone, I can see why I bought everyone, but it's just having that right combination of having the time and being in the right frame of mind to play it, combined with my missus not in the mood where she, because you know what it's like, they'll want something on the TV, she wants something on the TV or something, and find that combination of all three, because I've just never really enjoyed playing the Switch on handheld mode.
Never.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. I mean, I've got a couple of handheld devices. Obviously, I love the Playdate. I've got my Amber Neck. I've got, I've got a PSP. I've got all the DS, the Game Boys, the DSs, oh, you name it. But you know what? Nothing beats sitting in front of your monitor, your big screen, playing these games. That's...
But I did buy, actually, it's a really good purchase. I don't think it's an official product, but I got it through Amazon. But it's a dock equivalent without a dock. So it's a lot more portable. It's a little device, and you basically plug in your Switch, and it acts like it's in the dock, if that makes sense. So I do have that, which means that really I've got no excuse, because if I wanted to really play it, I could go to like the other room and put it on my monitor that I'm using now. Because I've got it as the second HDMI.
My Switch is, I've got a couple of display ports and an HDMI in, and my monitors here, and I can plug the headphone, because I always play through headphones anyway, to be honest. So so the Switch is connected in the man cave. I just don't living room couch game. I find the settee is far too away from the TV, right? No living room is designed where your eyeballs are pressed against the TV screen, right? Even if you live in the smallest council flat, it's a reasonable distance away. And I'm just not into it. When I do play on the big TV, I bring a dining chair through and I sit
close,
sit close. I've always done it because that's what I've done all my days. I'm not into that whole, when wireless controllers came out, it was not a thing for me. What, you want to sit at the other end of the fucking living room with a pair of binoculars and play it? Again, I've got wired controllers into my PC here. I hate charging things. It's stuff off. I'm not, so... But that's a personal choice. Other people will like to do other things, and I get that. That's fine for me. But for me, it was always bedroom gaming. That's probably the best way to describe it, and that's where my heart is with video gamers. In my only private corner, playing a game.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. My trouble is if I go in the bedroom and it's like, because that's where I'm recording at the moment. It's like the bedroom, and my trouble is if I'm playing the game, the bed's right there, and before I know it, I'm like, I'll just lie down for a bit.
I know, mate. I know.
Snore.
I'm just lucky. I've got my man cave, and everything for gaming is in here. I mean, I'm fortunate, but it's been a lot of hard work doing up this house to get the way I want it. But I'm fortunate that way. So
I am tempted. One of my whether I'll actually do it, but I've asked. I asked. Charlie was asking what I wanted for my birthday and that, and I said, actually, I'll go for a HDMI splitter, because I really like the idea. I've got this like little idea. I came across on Amazon. There's like it's sort of like a wheeled TV stand. I guess it's designed more for teachers type thing. Yeah. It's got a little shelf underneath where the TV would be. And but what I particularly love about it, you can rotate. So if I attach my monitor to it, or buy it, or down the line buy another TV, you can rotate it. Yeah. And I was thinking that would be about as close as I can. If I've got my wireless arcade controller, which I use all the time, which is wonderful. It's wireless.
Don't need that.
Have that going into, but then have my my PC, because I got obviously my gaming PC and all the retro games. Then I could do it where while the girls are watching some tat on the TV, I could be in the corner using the gaming PC to play anything really, but have that ability to rotate the screen as well. That's my thinking. I thought it'd be a fun little, not as clever as your little projects, but for my bad DIY level, I thought that'd be
always love a project, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah, really good. Anyway, boys and girls, I think it's been a fun episode, and I really hope you sort of like jump in and enjoy with some of these. And as we said at the top end of this, it's just wonderful how many retro packs or retro themes or indie games are out there. Whilst the AAA space may be crumbling around our ears, it's wonderful that the indie scene and retro gaming scene's never been healthier, really, in many ways, isn't it? It's lovely to see. Right, okay, well, I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, keep it retro.
Bye-bye.